Hi, I'm Alan Douglas. Welcome to my studio. This is the first in a series of videos in which I'll be sharing a portion of my process of the painting currently on my drawing table. Now, the working title of this small acrylic painting I'll be sharing in this video is Unseelie in the Shire. Let's get started. So the term Unseelie that I used in the title comes from fairy folklore and refers to the evil fairies, the malevolent ones. Obviously, a Seelie would be the good fairies. So what I like to do a lot of times is I like to look to the natural world for inspiration, and this one is no exception. So you can see I got an insect-based fairy. In this case, I'm looking at a lot of wasps. So you got his abdomen sticking out here and his wings coming out here. Here's his face. Eventually I'll probably glaze him a little darker so that he stands out from the background a little more. But I purposely mimic the shapes of the flower's leaves and the wings, and I'm using a lot of the same coloration in the fairy that I'm using in the flower, because my intent for this piece is to not have the fairy immediately noticeable, but noticeable after a few seconds. What I'm going to show you in this video is a technique. One of my large inspirations for animal artwork is an artist named Robert Bateman, and the term he uses for what I'm going to show you is killing the painting. Now, essentially what killing a painting is just glazing it down to unify all the colors, and I'll show you that now. It takes a certain amount of confidence to do this. This is an acrylic, so it's the open line of acrylic, so it does dry fairly quick. And what I want to do is use a darker tone towards the bottom. What I do is I use a damp sponge. Mix it all in. Now this is the kind of foam you see sometimes in packing materials. And what I've done is removed the corners of it so that there's no hard, sharp edges. The sponge is a little too wet for me right now, so I will just take some of that water off. I like to dab it sometimes, it gives it an interesting texture. Sometimes if you feel there's a little too much tone on there, you can kind of tamp some of it up with a paper towel and just kind of reapply the sponge. But basically what you can see is it unifies the whole picture and then allows you to kind of add accent, like lighter accents or darker accents. I like to get rid of some of those horizontal streak marks that the sponge tends to create. Plus tamping it, it gives it a nice little organic texture to the whole piece too. So I'm probably towards the middle of the painting right now, but I do this periodically through the process, and it's good to do towards the end of a painting too, because it kind of gives it all a unified look, and then you can kind of go in with darker accents or lighter ones to just make the areas you want to pop. So you can see that kind of gives it an overall misty feel in acrylics, which is sometimes hard to achieve without using oils. This is the golden open line of acrylics, which does not dry as quickly as regular acrylics, so that's to my advantage too. It's kind of a medium that, you know, if you don't want to use oils but you're frustrated with the drying time of acrylics, it's a good alternative. Now the other thing with this technique is, you saw I used kind of a mid-tone glaze. You really can't go straight from you have to kind of use a value for your glaze that is close to the overall value of your picture. Otherwise, if you go too dark or too light, a lot of your mark making will show up a little too much. Let me just mix up a little bit of a darker tone here, but so you can see how just adding, you know, if I want to just build up some of those shadows in certain areas, I could easily do that. And then they'll stand out compared to the rest of the picture. So you can see how it'd be wise to do this a few times during the painting process, because once the contrast starts to get boosted, I like to glaze it down and unify it a little bit. Depends on the painting, of course. Some paintings demand a more high contrast approach. This one, I want to have kind of a misty, frosty feel, as if this fairy is out in the meadow or something. But you can see how just adding lighter and darker accents works really well with this technique. So Robert Bateman calls this process killing it. And if you do it repeatedly throughout your process, I guess it's known as being a serial killer, if you think about it. You can see how popping in some whites will help set that creature back a little bit. Anyway, hope that gives you an idea of how glazing and unifying your whole painting can help achieve a good finished look for your work.